Hello you guys and welcome back to Hot Girls Eat Carbs. I'm your host Brittany McChrystal and I am so glad that you are here today. Whether you are out on your hot girl morning walk, you are navigating the school run, or you're just lying in bed overthinking your life a little bit, this is your cozy corner of the internet where we chat all things health, wellness and sustainable weight loss. So I just want you to take a deep breath. No noise, no pressure. Let's all get into the zone. So before we dive into the deep end today, if any of you find value in this episode, I would please love it if you share it with a friend. I know I say this all the time, but it is the only way that this podcast gets out to people and it helps me more than you know. So I thought we'd dive straight into today's episode because this is one that I wish someone had sat me down and explained to me properly at the very start of my journey, because I spent years, not months, years, thinking that weight loss was like a test of my character. And I thought it was all about being perfect. I thought it was about cutting every carb in sight and starting over every Monday morning with a heavy heart and a growling stomach. And I was just like constantly feeling like I was doing something wrong, and I was constantly letting myself down because I felt like I was working so hard, and like nothing was changing and nothing was moving. And it was just like every little thing that I ate, it was just like the anxiety was just like screaming at me. But the truth is that I wasn't actually failing because I wasn't trying. I was failing because I didn't understand the mechanics behind the game. So today I'm giving you the whole shebang, no fluff, no detox tea nonsense, no extremes, just the tactical blueprint that you need to start your journey, and more importantly, for you to stay on it until you win, because that is the goal. So if you take nothing away from this episode, I just want you to take this away. Weight loss is a mathematical equation, not a moral one. It comes down to being in a calorie deficit, period. There is no special diet, there is no magic superfood, and there is no 2 a.m. fat burning hack that can override the laws of your body math, okay? You can eat the cleanest, the most organic, Instagram worthy food in the world, but if you are consuming more energy than your body is using, you will not lose weight. And on the flip side, this is the part that changed my life. You can absolutely lose weight while eating the foods that you actually enjoy, provided you are in a calorie deficit. When I realized this, the question shifted. I stopped asking, what do I have to cut out? And I started asking, how can I architect my life where I get to eat what I love and still hit my goals? So what actually is a calorie deficit? Think of your body like a high performance engine. It needs a specific amount of energy, which is calories, just to exist, to breathe, and to keep your heart beating, to think, to train, to handle your body's busy life. When you provide slightly less energy than that baseline requirement, your body has to find fuel somewhere else, and it taps into its reserve tank, aka your stored body fat. And this is how fat loss happens. And most people get stuck because they go into extremes. They go to aggressives and they cut their calories so low that their brain enters famine mode. And then they wonder why they're starving, binging on the weekends, and crying over a piece of chocolate. The 1% woman doesn't starve. She engineers. So it's all about understanding your numbers and just being more aware. The first step is understanding that baseline that we just spoke about. So you need to know what your maintenance looks like. So that is a number of calories where your weight stays the same. And then all you have to do is create a small realistic deficit from there. Not the lowest number possible, and not the one that your favorite influencer is eating. Let me be clear. And it's definitely not a 1,200 calorie starvation plan you found on Pinterest, okay? You need the number that you can actually stick to when life gets messy. And this is where tracking comes in. Now, I know that tracking can feel like an absolute chore at first, but I want you to view it as a high-level skill. It's about building awareness. When you track your food, even just for a few weeks, you start to realize how quickly those hidden calories add up. The oils, the sauces, the handful of grazing, they all add up, I promise you. But when you realize how much food you can actually eat when you're being intentional, it's a game changer, honestly. And tracking isn't a life sentence, it's education, and it teaches you about portions and how they actually look so you can stop guessing and start knowing. And it moves you from hope to certainty. And I know that tracking is not forever. It's just a really, really good tool for you to start with, because I don't track anymore. But that's because I have already done that work of understanding, oh, I know how many calories is in this and this and this, because I've spent a lot of time doing it. And so it is just a tool that you can get, and it's going to make your life so much easier. So apps like MyFitnessPal is a great one. So think of MyFitnessPal as a financial budget for your body. If you wanted to save money, you'd look at your bank statement, right? You wouldn't just hope that there was money left at the end of the month. Tracking your food for a period of time does exactly that. It gives you a clear bank statement of your energy. When you get locked in with tracking, something shifts. You stop fearing food because you finally understand the cost of it. And you realize that you can have the chocolate or the glass of wine because you can exactly see how much it fits into your daily budget. It moves from a place of anxiety to a place of self-command. And you aren't guessing if you're in a calorie deficit anymore. You know that you are. And when you know the math is working, the stress of the journey disappears. However, I do know for some of you, the idea of scanning barcodes and weighing every blueberry feels like a full-time job that you didn't sign up for. And I do understand that sometimes it can feel quite controlling for a lot of people, and or your life is just too busy. That is exactly why I built my bespoke meal plans for my clients. Now, I'm not trying to sell you on everything, but a meal plan that is made for you makes your life so much easier, because I've already done that body math for you. I've calculated the protein, the balance of the volumes, and I've ensured that you're in the perfect deficit while still eating foods that you can taste like comfort. It's basically like the autopilot version of fat loss, because you don't need to track if you're following a plan that I've built for you, because the results are already engineered into the menu. You just follow the plan, eat the yummy food, and watch the transformation happen. It's about meeting you where you are. If you want to learn the skill of tracking and have total flexibility, we use MyFitnessPal. If you want to switch your brain off and follow a proven roadmap, we use my bespoke plans. Both roads lead to the same destination, however, a body that you're proud of and a lifestyle that actually feels sustainable. Whether you're locked in with the data or following the blueprint I've set for you, the goal is the same. Removing the guesswork so you can actually finally see the results that you've been working so hard for. Now, this is my favorite part, the art of food swaps and volume eating. This is the part that I love because it's where you have that aha moment. You can eat more food and lose weight when you get to be smarter with your choices. And this is volume engineering, and I'm not talking about sad, boring swaps that make you miserable. I'm talking about the 1% swaps that don't take away any of the joy. So that's like changing from full fat mayo to light mayo, full cream milk to light milk or almond milk, leaner cuts of meat like shrimp or chicken breasts over fatty cuts, and adding big massive amounts of veggies to your pasta so the bowl looks huge even though the calorie count is still low. These little swaps are the compounding interest of fat loss. You aren't changing your whole identity overnight. You're just making your favorite meals work for your future self. And that is how you build a body you love without the lettuce and tears drama. I want you to zoom out for a second. Weight loss is not a sprint, it's an evolution. If you do an 8-week challenge and then go back to your normal habits, you will eventually go back to your normal weight, because normal is what got you here. It's about building a sovereign lifestyle, something that you can repeat when the kids are sick, when you're on holiday in Mexico, or when you've had a horror of a day at the office. This is why the 80-20 rule is my non-negotiable. So it's 80% of the time you're fueled by nutrient-dense, high-volume, goal-supporting foods. And 20% of the time you are enjoying your life, the wine, the cake, the social dinners. No guilt and no all-or-nothing spirals. The woman who gets results and keep them are the ones who The women who gets the results and keep them aren't the ones who are perfect. They are the ones who are consistent. You don't need a harder plan. You need a plan that you can actually stick to. So if you're sitting here right now feeling overwhelmed, I want you to simplify this, okay? So it's calorie deficit, just knowing the math. I actually have a free calorie calculator in the show notes below, so you can actually put in all your data and it will pull your calorie deficit for you. Number 2 is awareness. It's understanding your intake. And number 3 is strategic swaps. Eat the food you love, just better versions of it. And 4 is consistency. Give it the time it deserves. So if you are listening to this and thinking, Brett, I get the theory, but I just don't know how to apply this to my specific life, this is exactly what I do. I know it's one thing to hear the basics of a podcast, but it's another thing to have a bespoke blueprint built for your routine, your body, and your goals. So if you're ready to stop starting over every Monday and finally build the woman you are meant to be, we can work together with my one-on-one coaching. I've put the details in the show notes, or you can just DM me and we'll have a real chat about where you are at. But just for today, girl, take the pressure off and focus on doing the basics with excellence. You don't need to rush this transformation. You just need to get it right. I am backing you, and I will chat to you in the next episode. Bye.